Hello, and welcome to our first webinar on integrating virtual reality into the classroom. This is brought to you by Field Trip VR. This webinar should last about 30 minutes, and at the end I'll answer any questions that have not already been answered. On the right side of the screen, Hello, and welcome to our first webinar. My name is Amy DeMarco, and I'm the founder of Educator Help, a company that offers online professional development to educators. In this webinar, we'll cover the basics of Chrome, Gmail, and Calendar. We'll also discuss Google Expeditions, Google's latest app to bring virtual reality into schools. And you'll see a demo of the Expedition and receive a link to a free lesson plan. On the right side of the page, there's a chat feature, so please feel free to talk with one another during this and ask any questions that you might have. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the webinar, so I'll try to answer any questions that I can, and there will also be time at the end to ask questions as well. So let's get started and look at some of the benefits of Google Apps for Education, specifically Chrome, Gmail, and Calendar. In this webinar, we'll cover Chrome and Gmail, we'll demo Chrome, Gmail, and Calendar, we'll go over Google Expeditions and a little bit of virtual reality, and then you can ask any questions that you might have. So Chrome. The benefits of Chrome are that there are add-ons and extensions that will improve student learning and teacher productivity. This allows you to easily access websites. It also puts a layer over Chrome, some of its features, to help students with their grammar or to Google Translate. Gmail. Gmail has a lot of benefits that we might not see just because we use it every day for emailing people back and forth. But on top of being able to email our parents, students, and colleagues, we can also filter emails so we can look at emails just from certain people. We can forward emails, so if you have a school email and you want it sent to your personal or vice versa, you can add your signature, or you can create a group. So instead of typing in 20 students' names every time, you send it to one group and the students' names are automatically embedded into it. Calendar. The calendar is really great and great for teachers to use and students. It'll help you keep track of important information and events, and you can see all of your lessons at once if you change the view that you can see it through. You can also create an organized list to help students keep track of certain assignments that they have coming up or tests. So now we're going to actually go into these applications and see what they look like. So if we open up Chrome and go to the web store, we can see that there are several different apps and extensions on Chrome that we can actually use. On the left, you can see that you can choose between apps, games, extensions, and themes. The extensions are great because they actually work while you're in Chrome all the time, and we're going to look at one specifically later so you can see how it's working no matter what we're doing on the internet. And then themes are a great way to change the look of Chrome. So let's look at some of the apps. In the apps, you can choose and change the category if you want to, and specifically they have education apps, which are really great for teachers. And a lot of these apps will just bring you a link, and it's basically an easy link for you to get to the website. So sometimes it might be helpful for students to have the app so they don't have to remember and worry about finding the website every time. And if you highlight and you hover over one of the icons, it'll give you a brief overview of the activity, the app. So now we're going to look at some of the extensions. Again, you can change the category, or you can search in the taskbar. Grammarly is a great app extension that I think everyone should have on their Chrome. And if you type it, you might see it in different sections, but for this, we're going to actually get the extension. Once you do it, you add to your extension, and it will download, and it'll be in the upper right-hand corner. When it's highlighted, that means it's always working. Let's look at Google Translate, another extension that I have on here. This allows you to translate an entire page, so it's really great if you have ESL students. So let's say we're at the website history.com and we are reading an article from this page. Instead of actually having to copy and paste the text and put it into another translator, with the extension, we can just translate the page automatically, and we can translate to several different types. So now we're going to look into Gmail. So remember when we got the extension Grammarly? As you can see, it's still active in the upper right hand corner. And say I wrote this, hello, how are you today? It's nice outside, isn't it? And some of the words I misspelled or spelled them incorrectly, Grammarly automatically highlights it and shows that it was wrong. If we go into our settings tab on Gmail, we can add a picture if we want to. We can also add a signature. And sometimes this is nice to have a signature already on there because then you don't have to worry about doing it every single time in your email. You can also change your text in here. The labels, this is where if you're ever looking, you can in your main Gmail page, you see different tabs at the top. This is where you can either show or hide them. And filters and blocked addresses might be really important for students because you can filter certain things. So you see, yes, I always want this to be filtered from this student, or you can block certain words. So if students are swearing and you don't want them to swear back and forth to one another, or you don't want them to receive emails with swears, you can have them filter that out. And then forwarding emails. Say you have a personal email and a school email, and you want them to be sent to the same email, you can set up the forwarding here. Chat's also great because it allows you to communicate with one another if you're on the same domain or if people have Gmail accounts. And Labs is kind of similar to add-ons, except this is specifically for Gmail. And there are third-party apps that have been added on. If you want to access your Gmail offline, you have to get that app. So it's an extension from the web store. And you can just add it to Chrome and then you'll be able to access your emails offline. And finally, just like I have a nice picture in the background of my Gmail, you can change your images up here. Now, say we wanted to create a group. So instead of sending an email, say you had a class of 30 students, instead of typing in every single student's email, you want to create a group. So you only have to do it once, and then every time you can just say period 3 English class, and all the students' emails will automatically be populated into the email. We do this by going up to Gmail and pressing contacts. Now, we can create a group and create a new group. And whenever we title this, will be the title of the email that we send out to them. So I'm going to title this webinar. And then I add in my students. Here we can rename it if we want to. And then I add the people to my group. So now that I have an email, a group with 2 different people's emails, I can go back to my Gmail and send an email to them. So remember how I called it webinar? If I type that in, automatically those 2 emails are automatically populated into the email that I can send. So this will make it so much easier to send emails to mass amounts of people. So you can set up parent emails, colleague emails, student groups, whatever you want. So now we're going to take a look at Google Calendar. So automatically we're looking at it right now in a week view. On the left-hand side is where we can see our calendars and we can toggle them on or off. We can change our view at the top by switching from day, week, month. We can look at just 4 days or the agenda view. If I want to change a calendar settings, I just click on the little arrow and I'm able to choose. I can then create a new calendar, give it a little description if I want to. I can also change the calendar time zone if for any reason you're working with people in different time zones. You can share it and make it public. And you can add people so they have different settings and permissions within the calendar. Now, if I go back to my calendars, you'll see that it's now there. And then I can change the color. If I want to delete it, I go back up to calendar settings, and at the very bottom, I can permanently delete the calendar. This might be helpful if you're switching from semesters and you don't need no calendar anymore. If I look at the month view, underneath where it says other calendars, it's actually where other people's calendars are, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after. So say I wanted to put in an all-day event. I just click on the day, and then I can type in the assignment. Note, right now I'm in month view, so you'll see how this looks when I go into the day or the week view. I can change which calendar it goes to, and now it's been added. I can then click on it again to edit the event if I wanted to. If I want to add a description, add a location, I can add guests so I can maybe share it with my students if I wanted to. So now I've switched over to week view, and if you notice, the assignment paper, it's up at the very top, so it's not actually assigned a specific time. This is because when we clicked it during the month, we just made it for the day, so it's an all-day event. If we want to make it so it's a specific time, we'll click on the time that the event's going to be at. So we'll say about 10 o'clock, we'll type in IEP meeting. But instead of being only an hour, maybe it's going to be a little bit longer. So we can grab it and we can actually drag it down to change the time. Similar, we can also edit the event. And if you notice, the little green circle came up because Grammarly is still being active. Now, agenda is great, especially it's great if you as a teacher want to see all of your lessons or if students want to see assignments that are coming up. It takes everything that you had and it puts it into a list. And now on the right-hand side, we're going to look at the tasks. Tasks is basically like a notepad where you can keep different ideas down or things that you have to do, basically like a list. So I can type in different assignments or things that I need to get done. And then within each one, I can add a due date. I can add a little note about it. And I can also move it to a different list. Say at the bottom, I created a new list. I created an English list. I can go back to my educator help list and move the ELA paper from that list to the ELA list. And notice how there's a little check and there's a line. That's because if you check it, that means it's crossed off, and you basically, if you're on a list you crossed off, you don't have to do it anymore. And over on the left-hand side is where you change whether or not you want the taskbar to be shown. So if it's checked on the left, it'll be shown on the right. If it's not checked on the left, it will not be shown on the right. And finally, at the bottom, we have our other calendars. This is where you can add your friends' calendars or other people in your domain. So you just type in their email and they will get an email saying that you're requesting access. If you're within the same domain, so you both have the same whatever, that means that most likely you should be able to access it without the request. It depends on how your settings are set up. So now we're actually going to go look at Google Expeditions, which was just released over the summer. They had a Pioneer program, but it's the new way to bring virtual reality into the classrooms. So I'm just going to switch my screen so we can go look at virtual reality. So say we wanted to go on an expedition. Now that we have discussed the benefits of virtual reality and how it can be used in the classroom, let's see what it looks like in real time. At FieldTrip VR, we use Google Expeditions, which is a new app released by Google to bring virtual reality into the classroom. When going on an expedition, there are 4 steps. First, the teacher will download the desired expedition on their device prior to class. During class, when it is time for the expedition, the teacher will open the Expedition app on their device and choose to be a guide. At the same time, the students will open the Expedition app on their device and choose to be an explorer. Finally, the teacher will take the students on the expedition and read the overviews and for each scene along with questions to the students. As you can see in the picture, the phone on the left is the teacher view and the phone on the right is the student view. When the student device, is placed in the headset, the 2 images become one, allowing the students to see in virtual reality. We are now going to watch a video that shows what it looks like for both the student and the teacher when taking an expedition. It is important to note that the teacher will have their own device that they hold, while the students have both the device, which is a phone, and the VR headset that the phone is placed in. The students will then wear the headset, so all they can see is what is displayed on the screen. On the left is the student view, and on the right is the teacher view. We're now going to look at the first expedition, which is Gettysburg National Military Park. As you can see on the left, the student is told to place their phone into their viewer, while the teacher will look at their phone in a vertical position. The face is where the students are looking, so the teacher can see exactly where each student is looking during the expedition. During the expedition, the teacher can switch between scenes and then teachers can read the descriptions to the students along with the questions. They can also draw their students' attention to certain scenes within each scene, such as the Union line on the horizon. We're now going to go look at Inside the Human Heart, which will be a great science expedition. If a student is looking in a different direction, an arrow will Again, it's important to note that although we might see right now that the students are actually looking at two separate screens, when the phone is placed into the headset, these two screens will become one and they will see just one image. Okay, so now that we've looked at Google Expeditions, Chrome, Gmail, Calendar, we've looked at a lot of different Google apps over the last 20 minutes or so. If you want to see a sample lesson plan using the virtual reality, visit fieldtripvr.com, and under lessons and then sample lessons, there's a sample Gettysburg trip. So you get you get everything for the lesson plan. You get the full lesson plan with the aims, objectives, differentiation. You get the student worksheets, and you get the presentation and the slides for it. And it's really important to note that for the lesson, it's not just virtual reality. They read the Gettysburg Address, they watched videos, they have student discussions. So there's a lot going on within the actual lesson aside from just virtual reality. So if you're interested in that, head on over to fieldtrip.vr. They're the first, I work with that company as well, and we're the first Google Expeditions company to start selling off these kits. So it's really great to get in with that. Now I want to ask for any of your questions. I see you guys are in the chat, and if you have any questions, please shoot them over right now, and I can help you out, do some screen recordings, try to share my screen in order if you have any specific questions that I can help with. And if you don't, please head over to this page to do a quick survey for me about this webinar. It's bit.ly.ly webinar 915 for today's date. So if you have any questions, shoot them in email or type them in this chat right now, and go and fill out that survey if you can. Hi, Tiffany. We're not going to talk about Google Classroom. These webinars, there's actually 8 in a series. So Google Classroom will be in about 7 weeks. That's the 7th module in this course that we have. If you're interested in the entire course, you can go to educatorhelp.com, and we have a couple different courses. There's a course just for Google Classroom, or there's an entire course with all 8 modules, and they cover all of the Google apps. So that goes from Docs, Sheets, forms, pretty much everything that you actually want about Google Apps for Education is covered in that course. And if you are a New York City or Los Angeles teacher, you can get 2 salary credits if you sign up for the appropriate course and you do all the work that goes along with it. But even if you're not a New York or Los Angeles teacher, or you don't want the salary credits, you can enroll in one of the other courses, just the plain Google Tools for Education course, or just the specific course for the actual application. So there's a Google Docs, there's a Google Classroom course, and they're a little bit shorter. So Phil, how would you create a calendar for a whole school? So basically the same way you'd create a regular calendar, and then let me switch my screen so I can share it with you. And you would just add everyone to it basically. Okay, so now I'm in my Google Calendar. So here I can create a new calendar. So you're looking for class trips, create my calendar, add that, and then here, share to specific people, you would add in the teachers or the administration, whoever you want to actually share it with. And then once you add it in, so say if I added it to my personal account, you can change what they can actually do. So if you're an administrator and you want to share it with all your teachers, but you don't want all your teachers to actually be able to edit the calendar, you can change that here. So you can have them make changes, they can change and sharing so they can actually share it to other people, whatever you want. Does anyone else have any questions? It doesn't have to be specifically related to Gmail, Chrome, or Calendar. If you have other questions, I'll try to do the screen sharing depending on what it is. Just as a question, you guys can kind of answer it in chat. Are your schools Google schools? Do you guys use Google Drive? And do you use the virtual reality expeditions at all? You use Drive. Do your students have it too, Tiffany, or is it just the teachers? Yeah, so the virtual reality is, I don't know why my video went, so I'm just going to switch it out of here. The virtual reality can be expensive, but it really depends on what you're actually going for. Ours at Fieldtrip VR really isn't that expensive. For the whole, for the entire class set, it's 30, so you get 30 headsets, 30 student bundles, 30 devices, 10 free lesson plans, you get a whole bunch of things, and it's $6,000. So yes, that's expensive, but if you remember, you get 30 cell phones that you can use with your teachers and your students. So if you have a class that's already using Drive, and now you want to, have these phones, you can use them for other things aside from just virtual reality. That'd be great. So Tiffany, if you brought that back, just like you said, you're going to roll it out to your students this year. I don't know how your school goes with the money and the budgeting, because I know it can be very expensive. Think about it, if now you have a class set of student devices that can actually go on and use Drive and use all the apps from their cell phones. So it's more than, you're getting more than just the virtual reality experience. You're getting that plus, it's basically like getting 30 Chromebooks or 30 tablets. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to sign off. If you have any questions, I will put my email in the chat because for some reason the image is not popping up on YouTube. Yeah, definitely, Tiffany. And that, just so you know, the $6,000 bundle is for 30 students. I mean, you can buy one headset and one phone, or you can buy 10 or 5, whatever you really want for your school. It obviously, whatever the school wants to purchase, there's not set at specific limits that you have to purchase. So it's really up to you. Yes, Gilda, I will edit this because I'll edit probably some of the questioning part out and I'll put it together so it's all nice. 'Cause I know some people said they heard double voices at one point, so I'll edit it so it looks really nice. And I will post the link up on the webinar page. And if you fill out the form and you leave your email, I'll be sure to email it to you as well so you can know where to go to. All right, so thank you guys for signing on and watching this. I'll be posting another one next week. We'll have another webinar, and I'll be sure to let you all know when that is and what that will be about. It will be about Google Docs. So I will be posting it on this page, and I'll also be creating a new event for it. So if you have any comments or questions, I will put my email in the chat along with the survey link, and please feel free to send me an email if you need anything. All right, it was great talking to you guys, and I really look forward to talking with you guys again next week. Take care.